the Soldier Family Assistance Center here, and also the Survivor Outreach Services. And our agency is part of Army Community Service. From Michigan originally, so I have an undergraduate degree in social work and a master's degree in social work, um, both from Michigan State University. And so started off, back back in the '70s is when I was during my undergrad, and started in social work there. And then when I graduated, I worked for a few years and went back and got my master's in social work. Um, so I'm retired military, so now I'm a social worker in the military. So I worked when I graduated from grad school. I worked at the agency that I did when the second year. My second year practicum agency was a Child and Family Service agency. Worked there first, and then after a couple of years, I got a job with the Veterans Administration at where I worked. I was in Saginaw, Michigan, and so I worked there for almost 5 years. During that time, I was in the reserves. I started off in the Army Reserve, and I wanted to go active duty. At the time, the Army was drawdown because they were drawn down from Europe, and so I went over to the Air Force and joined the Air Force as a social work officer, and really worked was in the Air Force for like 21 years, and just retired in 2008. So 2008, my last duty station was here at Hickam. I worked there for my last 5 years, and when I retired, I was offered a position at Army Community Service. So I started up there initially as a contractor, and then got into this job in 2009. Our mission here is really to provide transition assistance with the soldiers. We also have, as you saw, in the front when you came in. I mean, we try to make it a relaxing
Yeah.
environment for people when they come in. And so we have things like the internet cafe area that they can use, and we have the big screen TVs and pool table and things like that. Okay, well, for our soldiers, we, it's pretty much, we let the soldiers know that we care about them. We're here to help them. And again, I think the more you're genuine in that response, where they, because soldiers, I mean, most people, certainly soldiers, know pretty quickly if you're really here to help them out or not. And so they can see when they come in, um, our environment here, like we were talking about earlier, try to make it a comfortable environment, try to look at what we can do to help them, get to know them, talk to them, but seeing what their needs are. So if someone's having financial problems, if someone's having something like marital problems, if trying to help connect them with resources. And so I think the soldiers will see that as the more genuine you are at really trying to help them, then they eventually develop some degree of trust with you. Um, but we have like an education counselor, a financial counselor, we have employment counselors, we have the VA station here. So we try to provide a lot of resources here to help them plan for what they're going to do when they leave the Army and go back to being a civilian, um, so that we work with them. And the other program, well, our focus here, as I said, is really on transitioning, and so I would say the intervention is really more of soldiers when they're coming in and trying to get them to focus on when they leave the Army, and kind of that immediate future, looking at what their lives are going to be like. And so I would say it's more, I guess I would call it more reality testing, Because what I've seen is a lot of times we have soldiers that come in. A lot of soldiers, you know, came in the Army, you know, with the idea of they were going to make the Army career and stay in the Army, you know, 20 years or more. And because they've been hurt or been wounded, whatever the case may be, or just, you know, been in accidents or their medical condition, um, you know, that's when they're being treated for their condition. And by the time the soldiers, you know, come here, they've been treated for some period of time, and they have, you know, we have soldiers that have different, you know, both physical and mental health problems and issues, conditions. And so a lot of times, you know, it's very complex, all the issues that they're dealing with. And so when you talk to that soldier about what they'd like to do in the future, what, you know, options are available to them, have them kind of look at what the options are, but also to, you know, like for school, we have a lot of soldiers where they start taking college classes here, maybe, you know, one class at a time, where they take a class like in the evening that's offered at the education center. But for a lot of our soldiers, you know, that's very eye-opening that they can see that they can be successful, they can do well, you know, in an academic environment, you know, with the right supports and everything else. But for a lot of soldiers, it's that experience. You know, give them an experience of being successful, and then they start to believe that, well, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can look at going to college when I leave the Army and getting trained in, you know, some field that I'm interested in, or getting, you know, additional training in something else, and just give them that sense of confidence that they're able to actually do that. So that's, you know, giving someone that sense of hope and a sense of confidence in their abilities, you know, is really a very good thing. I enjoyed working with people and, you know, understanding people and, you know, providing assistance to people in different, you know, walks of life and different situations. And so I had, you know, done a lot of volunteer work and was pretty active in my church and things like that. So that all kind of naturally, when I went to college, um, you know, taking different classes, I gravitated more towards social work because I wanted to work with people and help people.